So I'm just really happy to introduce my friend Noelle today. We met at EXP. She has a fun and unique story and kind of where her background is. She is the goat farmer of Minnesota, and she's really ran with that brand, which I love. But welcome, Noelle.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be on with you today, as always.
Sure, and I just wanted for our audience to kind of just hear a little bit about your story of why real estate. How did you get kind of started in real estate as a whole?
Yeah, so I have an odd background, which, this is one of the things I love about real estate is all realtors have a unique background for the most part. You can have any type of previous career and make real estate work. But I'm an attorney by trade. And I took that and decided that I wanted to be a wedding photographer. And so I left being a lawyer to be a wedding photographer. And then in about year 7 or 8 of running that business that was going very successfully, I just had a moment where I was at like the creme de la creme of weddings. And I realized that this wasn't it for me. This just wasn't it.
Right.
And so I went home from that wedding, and my husband and I started talking, and he was like, why don't you get your real estate license? And so I did. That week I actually went and signed up for classes, got my real estate license, and that was about 8 years ago now, and haven't looked back since. And actually, for me, it's been great because I can use my photography background for marketing. I can use my legal background for all of the contracts and negotiation and all that stuff. And prior to being a lawyer, I was actually a headhunter. So I can use that now actually with what I do with running the team and our group at EXP. So it's the perfect world. God knew where I was going to end up in the end.
Multifaceted. You're never knew that you were in wedding photography. I guess I missed that part, but you I guess that aligns with why your video and photography is so catchy and unique. So tell us about the I love how Minnesotans, I've met a lot of you, y'all all rock the Fargo accent, which I love, and you made that a part of your brand and getting goats. You're a goat farmer, and as well as the Minnesotan. Share a little bit about that. I think it's a really funny and awesome way that you keep it real on that level, and people know you as that now.
Yeah, and I know you appreciate it because you just are authentic to who you are, no matter where you are, whether it's online or at an event. Like the Nathan that you see online is the Nathan that you get wherever you go. And I love that. And, that's how I hope that people would view me as well. So a few years back, like during the COVID pandemic season, my husband and I started looking at making a move for our family. We were living in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, so like in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. And we just had a day where I was like, I just am ready to move back home. I'm from a small town. I'm a small town girl. I live in very far northern Minnesota, near Duluth, for those of you that are familiar with Minnesota, near Lake Superior. And so I looked online, and hazard of the trade of being a realtor, found a property day 0 on the market. It was the best opportunity. We never were going to find this opportunity again. We drove up same day, made a non-contingent offer on it, and it was aggressive. And the next day it got accepted, and that was it. Like it changed our whole world. And so that was about 2 years ago. At that time, I still had the residuals of my brokerage that I had before we had switched to EXP. And so we still had our office. I still had a team that was running underneath that brand. It was called Bright Birch at the time. And I mean, it was a nationally known brand at one point. And we made the move without having a plan of what we were going to do with that brand. Right. And I think that this is something that people get very, very caught up in needing to have the perfect plan before they make a change or a move. Sure. And if you watch my life, you will realize that's just not really how I do things. Like if I'm feeling called to go do something, I have learned that it usually works out if you just step out in faith and move forward in whatever the path is that got set in front of you. And that making a change is usually a good thing. Change can be good. And a lot of people look at change like it's scary, it's bad. Humans naturally don't want to have change. They don't want to be caught in something unpredictable, right? But the moment that you learn how to embrace change and you move forward, your whole life opens up. And every single thing, like what I just described to you, I made a change to go to law school. I made a change from law school to go to wedding photography. I made a change from that to go to real estate. I worked at a brokerage that I was doing very well at. My team grew very quickly. I had 10 agents on my team at a Remax brokerage. And then I needed to make a change. Like it wasn't working for me. So we opened up our brokerage. And then from there, it still wasn't working. I had an agent in Minnesota here that needed to go get their license in Florida because he wanted to make a change and move south. It is kind of cold where we live. It's warm where you are, cold where we are. Although dealing with winter might not be as bad as dealing with hurricanes. I don't know.
Well,
you pick.
Well, it depends. I'm 45. I've evacuated from one hurricane my entire lifetime. So I think we all get scared of the thing we're not used to. You know?
Yeah.
People that are in Florida are afraid of an icy winter. To someone in California afraid of hurricanes, well, they have earthquakes and I mean, there's so much
true.
everywhere, and the way that the
Yeah.
media hypes it up, it just like makes you feel, if you're not used to those areas, that it's just very frightening. And so I think you just kind of get comfortable in your own spot.
Yeah, that's true. Well, so for us, basically, we made another change. I still had my office open. We still were running a team in the cities, but we made this change to move with our family. And it's about 2.5 hours outside of where our market was. And honestly, it's been amazing. We ended up retiring that brand. And that's another thing that I see people get so caught up in. Right. You can start a brand or you can start a business, and then the pride that comes along with that sometimes won't allow you to make a change that might sometimes actually be better for your business or your family, and close down whatever that thing was, to close a door. Yes, right? People don't like to close doors. Right. And we ended up closing that door. We closed the door on that. All of my agents basically graduated off the brand. They're all still with me, but they graduated off the Bright Birch brand, which then opened the opportunity to do a new brand that I had on my heart. I love the state that I live in, Minnesota. I'm very passionate about it. And so we started a new brand called Minnesotan. In part because everywhere we go, when you guys are with the Minnesotans, just like you just said, it's a very noticeable accent, and it's a way of life as well. Like we have got just a certain way of living. We have a certain lifestyle up here. And so it was something that I was really passionate about. And so we ended up we scored the website Minnesotan.com, which we're going to use for like a branding and apparel thing. And then we're wrapping it in with our real estate team and wrapping in our crazy sayings and our accents and all that stuff right into the brand. And it's doing really well. We started the team in April, and we'll be at 24 agents by the end of October.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, you definitely rock everything Minnesotan, and I love that. And with how I was first, how you first caught my eyes through some of your marketing, and you're wearing a blue dress, you look like all professional, and you had all these goats eating out of your hand as the goat, the greatest of all time. How exactly? So like you bought the property, and talking about adaptability, you went from attorney to wedding photographer to broker to then goat farmer.
Yep.
You're building this team today, and then with the EXP brand, how did that come about?
So I am, I'm an odd duck. I every morning I wake up pretty early and I do a lot of journaling and writing. And one day, as I was just like sitting there, I kind of was given the word that we were about to get some goats on this property. This was not part of our plan. 20 to be specific. And I was just like, okay, that is a really weird thing. This is very odd. I went and told my husband, and he's gotten used to this over the years that we've been married, of this sort of stuff happening. And so fast forward about a week later, I get approached by a woman that doesn't live too far from where we are, that she's thinking about selling her home, needs a realtor, and she also has a business to sell of 20 goats. And that's kind of how it started. So we bought the 20 goats, and just like running a good team or a good organization, the goats also quickly multiplied. And before you know it, we had 85 goats. And very 85.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, chores twice a day. And if you follow me on social media, you'll know I travel a lot. I travel a lot for work and for speaking and for real estate. And so I was leaving my husband every single week with all the care of the children and the goats. And after a while, they're for milking. I felt like we weren't really using them to their highest potential. And so as I started thinking about it, I heard another whisper to call a couple that had bought 2 goats from us last year. Nobody knows the story yet. I'm just able to start publicly talking about it as of yesterday. It's official, but and so I basically called this couple and said, hey, this is so odd, but I feel like you guys are supposed to take over my goat herd. Would you be interested? And honestly, she was like, oh my goodness, I feel like you're reading my mind. And so we've worked out a business partnership now with this couple that owns a resort further north in Minnesota than I even live. And they took all the goats, and now we're partnering with them to run a micro dairy and run a new brand under that called Minnesotan, which I had created and haven't been able to do anything with. And so we're partnering with them on that brand. And so, yeah, I mean, if I had been so set in my way, even there, once again, of like, hey, I just got these goats, we just did all this work, we just set up the farm. I mean, if you go through my Instagram page, you'll see it was a lot of work that we physically and financially and emotionally put into these animals. And so if I was so stuck on that I wouldn't release the goats, I maybe would have missed an opportunity for myself and for my family. And so we have them, but they're not physically with me today.
Well, I think that, on the entrepreneurial spirit, right? I mean, I think realtors have unique stories because most top agents are entrepreneurial, and entrepreneurial people are crazy. I mean, it goes back from my childhood in school. Like, it was like squirrel, 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 squirrel. I mean, I was always jumping in different things, and I wasn't afraid to adapt to certain aspects to find my passions. And I think that's what is really unique as a whole about EXP, because a lot of people feel that it's just a real estate brand or some type of MLM. And I think we all felt that, but what it really is, it's just an environment that really highlights the entrepreneurial spirit, and adaptability to me is the biggest gift of all if you're willing to chase that. So, I mean, my story, I was a teen for 18 years. I was trying to make everything right to do my independent brokerage. And my passion was to do that since a child. And I did that. And I was like, so proud of it. And then I was like, put the brakes on, because I really realized what I thought was going to be my dream was not. And then within 10 months later, after relaunching our whole brand, getting all the signage done, announcing it to our customers, the customers, I realized they're following you and your personal brand for you, not from where your license is hung. And I just realized, I want to be connected to a much bigger audience. I want to have more people in my life than, I think, as you experience, when you're the broker, you're kind of like it stops at you. You're the brainchild that you have to be for everything. And it really puts you in a space that takes away a lot of your gifts and freedom, because you become an administrator and this responsibility so deep. And I think that's what's happened to the majority of the biggest producers at EXP. They adapted, they went through all these layers, and then realized there's something bigger and better out there. And I honestly think that's why you see so many people saying, man, this is changing my life, because they've been searching for an environment for entrepreneurial people like this their entire lifetime.
Mhm.
Find it. What do you think is the most special thing about EXP as a whole?
A couple things. One, I think it's limitless with what you can do with it. It's up to you what you want to do with it. Limitless with how far you can grow, limitless to where you can physically go. You know, like in most real estate careers, people get very stuck and tied to a geographic location because that's where you live and sell, right? Like even to a neighborhood. I've watched agents not even be able to make the move across town because they are so tied physically to where their business is. And then the personalities that are drawn to this model. There's something really to be said for the personalities that are coming in. They have a different nature about them. The entrepreneurial spirit, definitely. Also being just able to see a bigger picture. It's a lot of bigger picture thinkers coming. And then collaborators are coming over. True collaborators like this that have no financial tie to each other necessarily, but they all want to help each other win, because when one of us wins, we all win just by the way that the company is built. And so it's the type of people that are drawn to the company, really, that is what makes it the most special, I think.
Yeah, I think just the friendships. I mean, you know, you and I didn't know each other at all and just had a good connection and created what I feel is a very strong friendship. I mean, you're
Oh
in
yeah.
Minnesota, I'm in Florida. EXP brings people together on such a deeper level all over the country and even internationally. And I personally think that's the best gift at all, because, you know, they always use the slogan, like, you know, making real estate fun again. And I think everyone, if you're a top performing agent and you're growing a team and you're going to brokerage, you get to a point where you're just completely spent. You're burnout. You're like you over time, you're just overworked, and your mind is kind of tired in a way. Your body feels tired. And for me, after 22 years in this business, or 20 years, the last 2 years of me coming on to EXP, it's like revitalized my passion for this business and connection and entrepreneurship. And like you said, it's an unlimitless opportunity to grow in so many different layers that I don't see. Like, it is my home now. And so many people, I think, they don't take a chance to change because they feel like it's okay where they're at. And it is hard to make change, but if you're not willing to make some changes, sometimes you miss out on the best gifts of all. And I look at it right now, it's like, you know, there's so many different layers and different groups within EXP, but everyone is an ownership piece of the company. And they actually, I mean, they do, even though you and I are not in the same group, they do financially incentivize all of us to make other people better than ourselves. And if we do that,
Yeah.
we create this huge environment of just friendship and fun and connection and entrepreneurial, you know, mindset, sharing ideas that we all grow from together. Because I mean, I honestly think that, you know, life is about impact, and it surely is about trying to have some fun in this short journey that we have. I love your marketing. I think that's what really connected us in the beginning, is that we're both kind of really out there and have fun with it. We're not afraid to put ourselves out there. If someone, you know, doesn't like who we are, I've always been a class clown. I'm sure, knowing you, that this has gone back since birth. That, you know, putting things out there and having fun. I mean, if you're not doing that, then why are you showing up every day? To me, it's about that, and showing people who you really are.
It's so true. You know, that's part of why I left being an attorney, because I just, people take themselves too seriously. I think, in my opinion, you get one life, and that's it. Like, you get one life, you get one shot. If you're taking yourself so seriously all of the time, it's stressful. It's not super fun. I'm all about having fun in whatever I am doing. Just like you said, EXP, the saying is making real estate fun again. And it's so true. It's true, because you can do all the, like, for a broker or a team leader, for example,
Right.
everything that you're doing as a broker or team leader, you can take that and do that here. And then you add on a whole new element of other ways that you can grow and support your agents. And your agents can do things here that they can't do on a standard team at another brokerage, and they can't do it at an independent brokerage. And for me, actually, that's what it took, realizing that this was actually a better opportunity for my agents. And actually just this week, one of my agents that had been with me ever since we were at Remax, brand new out of real estate school, he's only ever known working with me, right? He hit a new influencer level. He hit beta, which is having 200 agents underneath you and 15 agents that are producing directly under you. And, you know, I could have never provided that to him. I could have never provided that to him. And so part of it for me in the fun is helping my agents have that success too, and helping my friends have the success, and having fun while you do it. And, you know, I think when I first started marketing with my videos, boy, people were surprised because I did things that were unexpected on video, right? Like, well, that's not how you sell a luxury house. I think I was sitting in like a $2 million home and I did a video that nobody expected to see. And I know that that's how it works for you too. And for me, I call those mic drop moments, right? You want to be memorable. You want to be memorable, and you want your marketing content and your videos and whatever it is that you're putting out to be at the end of the year, one of the ones that if you went and asked your sphere base, like, hey, you know, 15 realtors out there, whose content do you remember and what was it specifically? I want them to be able to tell you exactly what they saw in my video, because that's good marketing. And I could tell you what I've seen in your videos, right? But how many realtors just do the same standard stuff?
Right. Well, you know, in the beginning, it was like when we came up with that hip hop hump day. I love hip hop. I grew up in that 90s era. I wasn't afraid to be goofy. I'm like that regularly. And I had so many agents are like, man, that's going to be catastrophic to your business. Like, you know, how's that going to help you sell homes? And I was like, you know, it is what it is. I have fun. I have fun. This is my demeanor behind the camera as well. It ended up turning into a Gulfront home I sold. We resold that. We sold their brother's home and all these different layers. And it was literally like, man, I saw Hip Hop Hump Day and I knew right then that I wanted you to be my agent. And we just had fun with it. And I think that also there's a lot of authenticity in being the real you. And what happened was a lot of people that were kind of criticizing me doing these goofy videos. Well, then all of a sudden they're like, man, like, people are actually paying attention because not only are they finding success, but they're having fun and they're not afraid to share that. And you saw all these companies start saying, well, we're fun too. And they make these like fake fun kind of personas. And it was just, it wasn't real, you know? And to me, that hip hop hump day for us, I mean, even at this event that we're at, I mean, people recognize funny things like you being the goat farmer. I mean, it's crazy to me. And I love it when you're at these events. People haven't met you before. Hey, that's the goat farmer. And like, they're like, that's been your brand. And you like made it really fun. And it's just like, and I think what people need to understand too, when people think about a cloud-based business, they feel that sometimes it's going to take away the human element. And just like you and I talking now, EXP is incredible on how it uses technology to connect people quicker, but not to erase the human element. By those events, I look so forward to that because it's not like your typical real estate conference where you're stuck in conference. Like I really look forward to seeing my people, my friends, understanding that. And like, you go to that and just the connection that we share is what makes that so exciting. And I'll never forget, I mean, we went to an event and a couple that I came there with, they're like, man, how do you know all these people? I'm like, I just started tapping in a little bit online. And once you start meeting familiarity, it just continues to grow. And the proximity that you can be in with so many amazing minds is really incredible.
Well, and the technology is no different than technology that everybody else is using every single day anyway, which is social media, right? We have basically Facebook for EXP. It's called Workplace. And it's an awesome place to go in and connect and have conversations and get referrals and share ideas and create groups and all of the same technology that a lot of these agents are complaining about that don't actually understand it is the same technology that they're actually using to communicate with their current brokerage or their current team or whatever. It's no different. And our office is just this. But I feel like when you're on Zoom, you feel like you're together. You do
Yes.
feel like you're in person. And COVID really, I think, taught a lot of people that. COVID actually was, from that mental standpoint, good for EXP, because people started realizing that this is actually a much more efficient office meeting
Yes.
than taking a half an hour to drive to the other side of town. Oh, and then you got to stop to get your coffee for 10 minutes. Then you have to go in for the meeting. And because it's in person, it takes a little longer to end it. Then you got to drive a whole nother half an hour back home. Like for this, Kate, I went for a walk this morning. I hurried back, took a shower, and there I was in the meeting. And now when we're done, bam, I can move into my next meeting or whatever. And Zoom is just a way more efficient place than a physical office space.
For
And a
sure.
lot of times when agents are joining me or teams, they're like, well, I need to check out an office. I need to get an office. We have access to Regis office space, so people can go in and try it that way if they want to. But I always encourage people, switch it up.
Yeah.
See if you find that you are much more efficient through Zoom. And then they'll say, oh, well, but where would I meet with my clients? Where do I meet my clients? How about at the house? Like, aren't we selling houses? Aren't we listing houses? Aren't we showing them houses? Like, meet them at a house or a coffee shop. It's, every hang up that people initially have is just that. It's just a hang up. And as soon as they can set it aside and have an open mind to the opportunity, most of the time, all of a sudden a light bulb will go off and people will see what this could actually do for them, for their business, for their families, for their agents' families. It's
Well,
awesome.
and digging deeper in the beginning, it was like I was just trying to prove the people wrong of why I wasn't going to come to EXP. I'm like, well, what about that? Well, what about that? I'm like, oh, okay, they got that covered. Well, what about that? Oh, they got that covered.
Mhm.
Well, what about this? And I had all these lists of why I wasn't going to come on. And like the way that they have built this around understanding what agents truly need is on a different level because it was built from agents.
Yeah.
And that's the best part to me is like, you want to make sure that the company is also making moves that are the best for the agent. Well, when it's agent owned, the top of the top, they've been at the top of their game in all these different brands that were ran from franchise models and this hierarchy command and these rules and regulations and these different layers, where in this company, the decisions are being made from the agents for agents. And that's why I really think that they've been able to find solutions to all these challenges that so many people have felt running real estate companies or being a top producer, because it created a bunch of people that were in similar environments and put them all into one company together, as they say, one big fire. And now you have all these brilliant minds working together for the ultimate solution for the real estate model. I think that's really why they've solved a lot of things, and they can pivot so fast too. When you have all these different layers and hierarchies of command, things get stuck in translation a little bit. But with this model, things can pivot so much quicker. And I really think that's why they took off during COVID. I think that's why they're taking off during some transition in the market. I think they'll continue to take off because they can just adapt, as we talked earlier, in a much quicker space of what the industry needs and what the agent needs and what the customers need.
Totally. Yep. I couldn't agree more.
Really appreciate your time. I look forward to seeing you in Vegas. That's what's next. Always fun events throughout the year, and I just appreciate your time today and sharing people your story and why EXP, and I'm excited for what the future holds.
Yeah, you're welcome. I can't wait to see you. See you in about a week and a half.
Good. Look forward to it. I'll see you soon.